1,000 years ago, the city of Palembang was capital of a kingdom that dominated Southeast Asia, a dynasty that did so not using conquest alone, but through capitalizing on trade and spiritualism. This is the story of the Srivijayan Empire. The Southeast Asian archipelago, or Nusantara. Since at least 1500 BC, this region has been involved in the global spice trade, with its indigenous crops like cloves and nutmeg having been found in Bronze Age archaeological sites as far as Syria. By the 7th century, it was dotted with countless independent city-states like Jambi, Tarumanagara, Kedah, each with differing languages and cultural traditions. The most powerful states competed over mandalas, a political system where influence radiated from a central king through tributary alliances with regional datuks. Kings often used their economic and military might for deterrence and diplomacy against their rivals rather than outright conflict. In southern Sumatra, a nobleman and Buddhist spiritual leader named Dapunta Hyang Sriwijaya Nasa was to found the greatest mandala yet seen in Southeast Asia. In the mid-7th century, Dapunta consolidated power over his homeland of Minanga and the town of Palembang. From this new capital, Dapunta Hyang set off on the famed Sithayatra with 20,000 soldiers and followers. He subjugated chiefdoms along the Musi River, Bangka Island, and vassalized the Jambi, founding the kingdom of Sriwijaya, a Sanskrit word meaning great victory. In 684 AD, the king established the Buddhist park and sanctuary of Siskreta in Palembang, where he piously dictated, "May coconut tree, Areca catechu, Arenga pinata, and sago, and all plants be here. May all of the good deeds that I've contributed be enjoyed for the benefit of all creatures. If they are hungry or need a rest during their journey, may they find food and drink. May all kinds of animals that they keep be fertile, and also their slaves. For whatever they have done, may all the planets and stars still favor their fortunes." Elements of Buddhism had come to these islands as early as the 3rd century AD through contact with India, China, Burma, and Siam. By the time of Dapunta Hyang's death, his Srivijayan kingdom was positioned to expand control over Buddhist pilgrimage routes. From 702 to 724 AD, Dapunta's successor, Sri Indravarman, would send diplomatic missions to the Umayyad Caliphate and the Tang dynasty of China, paving the way for access to global markets, trade privileges, and formal recognition of Sriwijaya by the Tang dynasty. Arab and Chinese books, cloths, porcelain, glassware, perfumes, medicinal herbs, and weapons flowed increasingly into Srivijayan ports in exchange for Southeast Asian products like nutmeg, cloves, woods for incense and craft, exotic animals, and gold. Indravarman's successor, Maharaja Dharmasetu, continued diplomatic overtures to China and expanded Srivijayan dominance in Sumatra, Malaya, and vassalized regions as far as Kedah and Ligor. He even founded sanctuaries in Ligor as symbols of Srivijayan spiritual authority. Yi Tsing, a monk traveling through Southeast Asia at the time, writes, "If a Chinese priest wishes to go to the West to learn the discipline, he had better stay here for 1 or 2 years and practice the proper rules first." In this period, the Srivijayan capital of Palembang grew rapidly. Its palaces, burgeoning floating homes, stilt houses, monasteries, Harbors and markets rose above the Musi River as its people traversed along its many canals. Multiple Arab writers say Palembang's ruler became so rich that he would throw a bar of gold into the Musi River every day and say, "Look, there is my treasury." Chao Chu Kwa, a geographer in service of China's Song dynasty, writes, "Owing to this country being an important thoroughfare for the traffic of all foreign nations, the produce of all other countries is intercepted and kept in store there for the trade of foreign ships." In the late 8th century, Samaratunga, a prince from the Javanese Sailendra dynasty, would marry into the Srivijayan family, increasing Srivijayan connections to central Java. It would be this king who commissioned the construction of the famous Borobudur complex, completed in 825 AD with over 2 million andesite stone blocks and standing over 100 feet. Borobudur remains to date the largest Buddhist monument in the world. Samarantunga's successor, Balaputradeva, would strengthen ties with India, famously donating a temple to Nalanda University in the Pala Empire in Bihar. Other Srivijayan kings would build more temples across Southeast Asia, such as at Wat Phra Bromotat Chaiya in Thailand, Pawon Temple in Java, and Muaro Jambi Temple in Sumatra. Religious pilgrimage routes and trade supremacy in these areas became hotly contested between Sriwijaya and its rivals, leading to long conflict with the Mataram Kingdom of Java from the 9th century till the latter's collapse into civil war known as the Pralaya, and years of instability in Java. Srivijaya's diplomatic and ritual ties to subjugated kingdoms were used to enforce loyalty rather than military force. However, throughout its history, Sriwijaya raided. In one 9th century account, Arab merchant Abu Zaid Hassan narrates a story of how a king from Khmer had publicly disrespected the Srivijayan Maharaja, who in turn sent an expedition against the Khmer king and executed him, adding, "From that moment, the kings of Khmer, when they rose every morning, turned in the direction of Zabag and prostrated themselves humbly to render homage to the Maharaja." Sriwijaya exacted tribute from its vassals, taxed foreign merchants, and combated piracy on its sea lanes. To do so, it used its wealth to maintain a massive navy and alliances with sea nomads, such as the Orang Laut, whose warriors navigated Southeast Asian waters with unmatched skill and were armed with oceanic weapons like darts coated with stingray venom. Writers from the time note Sriwijaya had innumerable troops and that its navy attacked vessels that did not pay tribute or enter its ports. As with the Roman and Achaemenid Persian empires before, it would be wars that inevitably end Srivijayan dominance. Relations between Sriwijaya and the ever-changing Indian states had always been peaceful, but in 1014, Rajendra Chola I ascended the Chola throne. His own father had conquered Tamil Nadu, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. With his own ambitions of ruling lucrative trade through the Strait of Sriwijaya and seeking to punish the hegemon for high taxes on his country's merchants, Rajendra launched a daring raid on Sriwijaya. In 1025 AD, with over 10,000 men and 100 ships, he sailed to Barus, where allied merchants resupplied his force and gave him intelligence. The fleet then navigated the unpredictably rough waters of the Sunda Straits. evading the Srivijayan navy, which was concentrated along northern Sumatra. Without warning, the Cholas hit Palembang with astonishing speed, catching its defenses off guard. Its royal palace was burned, and Srivijayan king Sangrama Vijayatunggavarman was captured. The Cholas followed up this victory by sacking other coastal settlements and attempting to subjugate Srivijaya's vassals. By the time Rajendra and his forces withdrew from the archipelago in the 1030s, Srivijaya's network of vassals and allies was shaken and its decline had begun. King Sangrama's successor, Sri Deva, attempted to save the empire by sending diplomatic and spiritual embassies across Asia, while Sangrama's daughter, Dharma Prasoda Tunggadevi, would broker peace with the rival Javanese kingdom of Kahuripan. However, by the early 12th century, these efforts could not stop Tabralinga, Jambi, and other states from asserting independence, nor could they prevent the Kahuripan successor state of Kadiri from challenging Palembang's hold on central Java. Then, in the 13th century, Jambi, a Srivijayan vassal since the days of Dapunta Hyang, emerging economically stronger than Palembang, took over the remnants of the Srivijayan Mandala, establishing the Jambi Malayu kingdom, though it too would fall under the rising Singhasari kingdom of Java in the 1290s, successor to Kadiri and the predecessor of the great Majapahit Empire. While Palembang would sporadically rebel against their Javanese conquerors till the 14th century, Chinese sources paint a bleak picture of Srivijayan lands at the time, referring to sabotage and piracy tactics Palembang and Singhasari exchanged. It is written in the Ming annals that a message was sent to Java to bring Sun Fo-tsi to change its evil ways. Sun Fo-tsi Srivijaya was formerly known as a rich place, but since it was conquered by Java, the capital has been deserted and few traders go there now. By the dawn of the 14th century, any remnants of a Srivijayan state were gone. Yet, it is undeniable that the Srivijayan Empire had drastically impacted Southeast Asia. Its Pallava script and lingua franca of Old Malay would lay the groundwork for the modern Malay and Indonesian languages, spoken by over 290 million people today. Its maritime dominance cemented Southeast Asia as a crossroads of international trade, and its monuments, like Borobudur, and art, like these stoneworks on display, still amaze millions of us around the world. Thank you for watching this video about Sriwijaya. Stay tuned for more historical videos on Southeast Asia and other parts of the world. If you would like to support the channel, consider bringing it into your mandala by liking and subscribing. It's super appreciated.